Greetings. What do you need? Farewell.
Sir, this investigation into the Neuhof massacre, it's getting a bit complicated.
What have you found out?
I tracked down a gang of robbers who recruited killers for Pribyslavitz. They know the whoresons who torched Neuhof.
That's excellent news. Did you find out any more?
So far, not much. If I'm going to infiltrate them, I have to do what they say. That means murdering one of their former cronies, a fellow they call Pius. Apparently he was at Neuhof too.
You have to kill a criminal to prove yourself to them? Huh. I don't much like the sound of it.
That's not the worst of it. This Pius is hiding out in the monastery pretending to be a novice. I'd have to get inside the cloisters to get at him.
Good God above, that's another matter entirely. They don't let just anyone into the cloisters, and the abbot won't give up any of the novices. Secular law has no jurisdiction inside the monastery. But this is the second time that something untoward has happened there. First the counterfeiters, now this. I'd be glad to have someone take a look inside.
It seems like the only way to find Pius is to join the order. Damned if I know how, though.
A bit of meditation and learning would do you good. If it's really the only way to get to him, then you'll have to do it. I'm sorry I can't be of much help. Sadly, my relations with the monastery aren't entirely congenial. You'll have to figure something out for yourself.
What should I do with Pius once I find him?
Don't kill him. Bring him to the bailiff in Rattay. He'll interrogate the man and give him a fair trial.
It doesn't sound like an easy task, sir. Getting into the cloisters, finding Pius, and then getting him to the bailiff.
Far from it, lad. But I have confidence in your abilities. Good luck to you.
What are you here for?
Are you Carl by any chance?
I am. Why do you ask?
I've heard that you're bound for the monastery.
Yes. Yes, it's true. But I've convinced my faithful guardian, Manfred, to give me a few more days of freedom. Mind you, he won't let me visit the brothel. So instead, I'm devoting those days to the demon drink. With whom do I have the honor of speaking?
My name is Henry.
Pleased to meet you, Henry.
I'll have a bit.
Let's have a drink.
A man after my own heart. The drink's on me. And will my guardian angel here join us in imbibing? No, he will not. Perish the thought. My dear, dear lad, what a cross I have to bear. You know, after the tavern, we should pay a visit to some whores. But Manfred won't let me. Get rid of him. Why?
Good day.
You're Manfred, the young lord's guardian?
Indeed I am. Why?
Got it for you right here. My pleasure.
You must have a mighty thirst. Waiting here with him for days, just watching him get drunk, and not having a sip yourself.
There's no doubt I'd enjoy a drink.
Satisfied?
Heaven knows I deserve it. But if I dull my senses in the slightest, that rogue will surely get up to mischief.
So let's drink together. And if you start to feel unwell, I'll keep an eye on him. Like you said, you deserve some fun.
Forgive my rudeness, but you don't look like someone I could trust. I'll drink when my task is accomplished. Until then, I have a job to do.
I've been looking for you two for quite some time.
So, I'm sure. Jesus. What do you want from me now?
You must have a mighty thirst. Waiting here with him for days, just watching him get drunk, and not having a sip yourself.
There's no doubt I'd enjoy a drink. Heaven knows I deserve it. But if I dull my senses in the slightest, that rogue will surely get up to mischief.
So let's drink together. And if you start to feel unwell, I'll keep an eye on him. Like you said, you deserve some fun.
I can see you're a reliable lad. So what shall we have to drink? And while we're at it, why not have a little game?
Bye.
We'll see whose side Lady Luck is on.
You're all we need right now.
Damn! That won't happen again. Surely? I'm off to a great start. Use your head, man. You'll lose everything. Good game. You deserve it.
My pleasure.
The first person to get in my way.
You said you wouldn't drink today.
Silence.
Bottoms up.
I'm going
God
to
bless
sleep.
'em.
Here's a few coins. Have fun. Tomorrow, we're going to the monastery. Is that clear?
Couldn't you give me more? This isn't even enough for a toothless whore.
It's enough for
One
beer.
here.
Good night.
Good day.
Manfred's taken care of, just as you wanted.
Thank God. He won't let me out of his sight for a second, and he's itching to get me in the monastery so he can head back home.
Why are you being sent to the monastery?
Like every lusty young lad, I'm fond of fair maidens, but I got too fond of one, and let's just say she was, indisposed for 9 months.
But they don't send you to the monastery for that.
They do, when it's the daughter of the lord of your fief.
Shit.
Shit is putting it mildly. The Lord of Bookerva was less than pleased. He knows he'll never marry off his daughter now, so he gave father a choice. Either pay him 1,000 groschen in compensation, along with my balls on a silver platter, or pay 1,000 groschen and put me away somewhere no one will ever see me again.
One ale, please.
What if I entered the monastery instead of you?
What? Voluntarily?
All the best.
You don't look like someone who'd want to spend the rest of his days on his knees praying. But that's your problem. You can only enter the monastery if you know how to read and write, and if you have a special writ from the abbot. That's a letter confirming they know who you are and that they've accepted you.
So you give me your writ.
Here you
I'll
are.
just tell them I'm you.
Manfred has the writ. You'd have to take it from him, but he only puts it down when he sleeps.
So I'll steal it and then you can disappear.
Disappear? Bare-arsed? What the hell would I do? I don't know how to work, I have no money, and that old bastard's even taken my cloak. He has me in the palm of his hand.
But there are poor people everywhere and they get by somehow.
If I have to choose between hunger and poverty on one hand and the monastic life on the other, I'm afraid the monastery wins. If I could only steal that old man's pouch, I'd be gone faster than lightning and no one would ever see me again.
That's all then.
Sure. Farewell.
got what you need?
Excellent. Give me the purse. You can do as you like with the writ.
Coming right up.
Here you are.
One beer for me.
Good luck, no matter what you plan on doing with those monks. Best be on your way now before Manfred finds out that he's been robbed.
And what are you going to do?
Get my things together and disappear. I want to be as far away as possible before that old man even knows I'm gone. Bye.
Here you are.
What are you doing here? Clear off quick, or off.
I'm Carl. I'm supposed to enter as a novice.
We expected you sooner. Weren't you supposed to come here with your guardian? It's been so hectic lately, people will keep turning up out of the blue.
He gave me the papers and left me at the gate. You must be used to that, though. I'm not the first novice here, am I?
But that wasn't very considerate of him, was it? It's been so hectic here lately, novices arriving one after the other. The last one didn't even have a letter, and you'd think his backside was on fire, the way he kept looking over his shoulder.
You took him without the letter? You didn't find that suspicious?
My guess is he wanted to hide from someone, but he's a priest and knows how things work in the monastery, so there was nothing to prevent him from being accepted, at least temporarily. You're a different case, though. Are you able to read?
Naturally. I wouldn't be here otherwise.
So then, are you ready to enter the Order of Saint Benedict and renounce forever the temptations of this world?
I am.
Then you must rid yourself of all your worldly possessions. Sell them or give them to the poor and needy or donate them to the monastery. You may not enter this place burdened by worldly goods. Inside the gatehouse is a trunk in which you will find monk's robes. Put away all your possessions and dress yourself in the habit. Then you may rest a while I go and see the prior to arrange matters for your acceptance. May the Lord watch over you.
Strange feeling being without all of that. I didn't realise how much I'd grown used to it.
Everything's prepared. It's time for you to take your vows.
Do I really have to wear this?
You'd better get used to it. You'll be wearing it for the rest of your life.
Brothers in Christ, we have gathered here today to welcome a new novice into our midst. Dear brother, forget your former life and embrace your new vocation in the community of the monks of St. Benedict. Opus Dei, obedientia, obprobria, the service of God, obedience, and endurance of all discomfort. These are the cornerstones and succor of our order, which on this day shall become your own. Suscipe me, Domine, secundum eloquium tuum, et vivam, confundas me ab expectatione mea.
Suscipe me, Domine, secundum in loquium tuum vivam, et non confundas me ab expectatione me.
Accept your new name, Brother Gregor, and wear it with honor. Welcome, brother.
Welcome, brother. I am Antonius, a novice like you. I've been instructed to guide you around the monastery and tell you what you can expect and what your duties will be.
Thanks for helping me out during the ceremony. I had no idea what I was supposed to do.
You don't know Latin, do you? Don't worry. Work in the scriptorium will teach you fast enough. Why exactly are you here? Was it your choice? Or did someone force you to come?
It was my choice. For a common lad like me, it's the easiest way to get an education and do something worthwhile with my life.
It looks like we're both here for the same reason. I think we'll get along.
Would you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a novice and I'm here because I'd make a poor merchant. I like books and I want an education. Although I must say, so far the monastic life's been quite unexpected.
Let's go then.
Good. But before we do, here's a letter directly from the prior telling you all your regular duties from tomorrow onwards. Make sure to read it this evening so you know how things work. Right, we can go now. Follow me closely. I'll explain everything as we go. Remember one word: discipline. It's your job to work and pray. You serve the Lord now, not your own bodily needs.
Peace be with you, brother.
This is the way to the dormitory, where we all sleep. You'll find a free bed there, which is now yours. Do you know the first thing the monastery taught me? To appreciate sleep. We rise before dawn every day. Takes a bit of getting used to.
It's a mystery, but one that will be soon solved. It's a wonder the prior doesn't check everyone's breath in the morning. Then he'd soon get his man.
This is the garden, a place for silent contemplation and meditation.
Servus.
Centuries ago, this monastery was founded by the most esteemed of brothers, Saint Procopius. His earthly remains can be found in a cave under the monastery, and his spirit wanders the corridors at night, punishing any misbehaving novices. So beware. Here are the frattery and scriptorium, together with the library. These are the places where we work. Ora et labora. Pray and work. As a novice, you must always listen to your superior brethren, and above us monks are the prior and the cicatas, who punish every infraction. You'll know them by the canes they carry. Do what they say. This is the refectory, where we come together to eat. During meals, you must be silent. Only one brother reads aloud from the Rule of Saint Benedict.
The Rule is the only law we recognize, with the exception of those from God himself. If you break any of its precepts, expect a swift punishment. But I've already told you about the circuitous. The library, the pride of our monastery, a trove of learning. We don't just read books here, we also copy them. You too will learn how.
And that's all. Today you are still free from duty, but tomorrow you begin work like the others. If you need anything, ask any of the brothers. We will be glad to help you. And I recommend you get to know the other novices. You already know me. Then there is Siskin, Yodok, and Lucas.
Thanks for showing me around. There's a lot to learn here.
Will you tell me something about yourself?
There's not much to tell. I lived in Vlashim, and after my father died, I found out I wasn't much of a merchant. So I left the shop to my brother, and decided to become a monk. It's peaceful here. There's food and lots of time to read.
So you chose to come here?
It may seem strange, but I'm one of the few novices that did. I might be the only one. The truth is, the idea of spending my life in a monastery was more appealing than being cooped up in a greasy old shop.
It occurred to me you might be the man to ask. I'm looking for some lockpicks. Do you know anyone in the monastery who could help me?
Lockpicks? You surprise me, brother. And you, a nobleman's son. But you could ask Brother Salarius. They say he used to be a thief.
I'd like to ask you something about the monastery. Who's in charge of things around here?
Truthfully, everyone except us. But officially, Abbot Peter. And soon enough, someone else. As if it mattered. Our life will still be work and prayer.
I see. What are the roles of the various monks here?
Someone takes care of the library, someone else the garden. The abbot supervises everyone, and in his absence, the prior. But it's the circators you should worry about. They're the brothers who'll make sure we observe the rule. They can be quite strict, so if you want to avoid getting punished, always act righteously and do your duties honestly.
Tell me something about life here.
Work, prayer, as if you didn't know. We serve God, and that's the central truth of our lives.
Are there any rifts between the brothers?
Yes. From the moment talk began about electing a new abbot, it's been like a hornet's nest here. Strange you haven't noticed.
Tell me something about electing the abbot.
Abbot Peter is old. When he dies, they'll have to select a new abbot from amongst the brethren. The candidates are John and Nevlas. And if you ask me for my opinion, Nevlas is definitely the right man. Unfortunately, no one cares about my opinion because novices get no say.
Who's in charge of things around here?
Truthfully, everyone except us.
Are there already candidates to be the new abbot?
Brothers John and Nevlas. But the others have been fighting like dogs because of them. We don't have to fight about anything, though.
This John, who is he?
A circator, and really just an unpleasant old man. It's mostly the older brothers on his side, because they believe he'll protect the status quo and all the benefits that come with long service here.
Tell me something about Nevlas.
Nevlas manages the monastery's property. He's what they call the provost. He'd like to bring back solemnity to the monastery through reform and by returning to pure faith. A lovely idea, but most of the monks are against it.
Why can't novices vote?
They say we don't have enough experience to decide about anything. Don't worry, we'll get our chance.
Why is who wins so important?
We're young and we'll spend the rest of our lives here. And the abbot decides everything about our lives. Didn't it ever occur to you how powerful he is?
Who would you choose as the new abbot if you could?
Why should I even think about that when I don't have the right to vote? Gregor, don't go poking your nose into other people's business. You'll sleep better at night.
What do you desire, Brother Gregor?
I'd like to ask you something about the monastery. Who's in charge of things around here?
Abbot Peter is the administrator of the monastery, but you won't see him. He's always travelling, and on top of that he's old and infirm. Perhaps the good Lord will bless him with many more years of life.
And what happens when the old abbot dies?
Then we elect a new one.
Are there any candidates to be the new abbot?
Yes, there are. Brothers John and Neverless. Cursed elections. Since the brothers began talking about them, there's only been strife in the monastery. On one side are brothers who'd like to see John as abbot. On the other, those who support Neverless. And they seem to be capable of fighting about it forever.
Tell me about John.
John is a Circator, and the oldest brother here. It would be only natural if he took the crossier from Peter. He has experience, merit, and composure. He'd lead the monastery wisely.
I'd like to know about Nevlas.
Nevlas manages the monastery's property. He doesn't have the most experience, but his drive and heart are pure, his faith firm, and his ideas rational. Although perhaps he's too keen to change our routines here, which many brothers don't like.
Why does it matter so much who wins?
Because the future direction of the monastery hangs in the balance. The younger brothers feel they have to work more than their superior brothers, and that some brothers are more concerned with their own comfort than with worshipping God. The older brothers take a different view. They say the younger monks want privileges they haven't earned. And each side has its own candidate.
I thought politics weren't part of the monastic way of life.
You're right. But we know nothing besides the monastery, and the abbot's decisions can influence our entire life. Some of the brothers take it very personally.
Who's in charge of things around here?
Abbot.
And what happens when the old...
Then we elect...
Are there ever any disagreements between the brothers?
Unfortunately, yes. The biggest quarrels right now are about the election of the new abbot. They can already see poor Peter in his grave.
Tell me something about electing the abbot.
The old abbot is practically on his deathbed. There are two candidates. Half the monastery wants John, the other half Nevlas. And there's no chance they'll come to an agreement. But you've probably already noticed the atmosphere around here.
Are there ever... I understand. Tell me something about life here.
Prayer, work, obedience. That just about sums it up.
Can you tell me something about the rule of St. Benedict?
7 centuries ago,
Saint Benedict of Nursia wrote a collection of monastic rules, which we still follow today. They're read at every meal. The fundamental precepts are obedience, work, and prayer. We're fully devoted to serving God. The outside world beyond the monastery walls is foreign to us.
Do you never want to know what's going on out there?
And what should be going on? The sky is just as blue, and the grass is just as green. Perhaps the rulers change, but the greatest ruler of them all will remain unchanged through the ages.
I'm interested in the monastery's history.
It was founded by Saint Procopius 500 years ago. After his death, heretics occupied the place for some time. But then the order was restored and brothers of the true faith returned.
Heretics, you say?
They wanted to worship God with some foreign rituals, in a language foreign to God. They were driven away and their books burned.
What are the roles of the various monks here?
Well, the abbot is the head, but he's not here now. Then there's the prior, and the sub-prior, the librarian, the porter, and many others. As a novice, you should be particularly mindful of the circators. They're the ones who maintain discipline and punish bad behavior.
What can you tell me about the novices here?
What can I say? You're here to demonstrate your devotion to God and to live a monastic life. After a year, you can make your vows to become a fully fledged brother.
I meant something specific about the brothers that are here.
But you know them yourself. Yodok is an odd one, but he's diligent and eager. Perhaps too eager. Siskin is good company, but a bit too worldly for a monk. Antonius is hard-working and will help with anything, but prays less than he ought. Lucas is as quiet as a mouse, and no one knows much about him. And then we have you, about who I know nothing.
Can you leave the monastery?
Where would you go? You have everything you need here. Anyway, all the doors here are closed and locked tight, so no one can get in or out.
Who would you like to be the new abbot?
Definitely Nevlas. Although he's young and less experienced, his heart and intentions are pure.
Who would you like to be the new abbot?
Definitely Neville.
A horrible, abominable waste of parchment.
I'm Gregor, a novice. I saw you at the ceremony.
I know. It was hard not to notice you.
And you are?
Lucas, also a novice. Don't get upset, but I don't want to talk to you. I'm happiest alone.
I'd like to know something about the other novices.
I don't know much, but ask away.
Tell me about Antonius.
I'd like to, but there's nothing to tell. I've never spoken to him. I've never asked about him.
You really don't know anything about anyone? Well, thanks anyway.
Don't get upset. I'm sorry I can't tell you more. I just haven't felt like getting to know anyone yet.
Will you tell me something about yourself?
There's nothing I can tell you.
I mean, where you're from, what sort of life you had before, that sort of thing.
I'm a novice, and my monastic name is Lucas. Nothing else matters.
But one will be soon solved. It's a wonder the prior doesn't check everyone's breath in the morning. They'd soon get his man.
Come on. Is there really nothing at all you can tell me?
I could, but I don't want to. I'm sorry. I want to stay focused on work and prayer, not on who I once was. I never will be again. What has been isn't important for us. We cast the past aside when we walked through the monastery gates and took our oath. Never forget that.
If you could, who would you vote for to be the abbot?
But I can't vote, so what's the point of worry? Ask Antonius. He often talks about it, and I'm sure he has an opinion.
I'd like to ask you something about the monastery. Well, that's all.
Thank you for your time, brother. I'm Gregor, a novice.
I know. I saw you at the ceremony. My name is Nebulus, and I'm the provost here. I'm in charge of the monastery's property, as well as handling trade with the outside world.
That means you get to leave the monastery?
No, not at all. I just write lists and send them out.
Tell me about yourself.
I'm the provost of this monastery. It's my job to ensure the monks live a humble life and that any surpluses go to the poor. But in reality, I spend all my time making sure my brother's gluttony and the construction of a new church don't swallow up the few resources we have left.
I'm interested in the election of the new abbot.
You're not alone. Everyone's so worked up about that they spent no time considering how they could make the monastery a better place now.
Why? What's wrong with it now?
Many brothers think more about their stomachs than prayer. The older brethren bend the rules of the order to make them fit their interests. So, to balance the scales, they want the novices to lead exemplary lives. Sin abounds here, just as in the outside world.
What sins are you talking about?
The scripture says, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." I'm sorry, Gregor, it's not my place to speak about the sins of others.
Tell me something about how the new abbot will be elected.
A new abbot has to be elected once the old one dies. All the brethren can vote, with the exception of novices. The abbot's crozier will be conferred on whoever is chosen, and he'll take the vow. When he becomes abbot, a monk spends most of his time dealing with politics outside the monastery, instead of actually leading the monastery. But he still maintains a fundamental influence on life here.
Can you tell me about Abbot Peter?
Peter's wise in the ways of politics and a good shepherd, but as you've already heard, he's old and infirm. The other brothers see him with one foot in the grave, but I still have hope for him. But you, brother, don't let yourself get involved in the games of your superiors. Could you help me with something?
With what?
I'm interested in medicine, and I know there's a cure for the abbot's ailment. With your help, I could find out the details, and together you and I could give old Peter a few more years to do good. What do you say?
What do you need me for?
In order to get the recipe for this medicament, a few rules will need to be broken. Now you know most of the brothers believe every illness is a message from God, and that it's not our place to deny his will. I, however, think if God sent us not just illnesses, but also the medicine to cure them, then it's our duty to relieve people of their suffering. The cure for Abbot Peter's illness could be contained in one of the books in our library, but it will certainly be amongst the Libri Prohibiti, the forbidden books, those we aren't permitted to read.
Why are they forbidden?
Because they contain occult and demonic practices, witchcraft and all manner of evil. Or so some people claim. It's nonsense, of course. This is nothing but a book of medicine, albeit one written by a pagan. Ibn Sina, also known as Avicenna, is universally acknowledged to be a wise man. But here, at some point, someone decided his book is the work of a Saracen devil and must be kept under lock and key. Since then, no one can even talk about the book. But the three wise men were from the East, were they not?
Where can I find it?
In the library, there's a large cabinet with a lock on it. The forbidden books are inside. You'll easily recognize what you're looking for. The cover has not only a Latin inscription, but also Saracen letters. Bring it to me, but leave the other books there. No one will notice if one book disappears, but if more were to vanish, someone would certainly begin to look into it, which is exactly what we don't want.
Is there anything you can tell me that would help?
There's a key to the cabinet in the prior's chambers. The librarian should have another one, or you can acquire some lockpicks. But I can't tell you where or how. Perhaps Brother Salarius could help.
Why can't you do it yourself?
Because I am one of the highest-ranking monks here, and one day I'd like to become abbot. Can you imagine me crawling around in the black of night searching for a forbidden book?
You could just ask for it.
Do you honestly think I haven't tried? Unfortunately, Librarian Cyril is a stubborn ass.
I'm ready.
One more important thing. There's always someone in the library during the day. To pass unwatched, you'll need to go at night. It's locked, but I'm sure you'll manage to get in. They say Brother Solarius understands locks, but don't tell him why you need it. Once you have the book, bring it to me, and I'll then use it to make Peter's medicine. We'll soon have the election of the abbot over and done with.
More like infuriating. A horrible, abominable waste of parchment.
Is there any way I could help you get elected? Somehow tip the scales in your favour?
What would you like to do? Climb up the tower and shout, "Vote for Nevulus, vote for Nevulus"?
Not exactly. You do have an opponent, John.
John isn't my opponent, he's my brother. Just like you and everyone else here. We're all brothers in Christ. But there is something you could help me with. You must know there's a great deal of iniquity here in the monastery. I'd be interested to hear of anything I don't know about.
Should I find out for you what's going on around here?
Let me make this clear. I want to base my candidacy on putting things in order. But if I don't know exactly what's wrong, then my promises are just empty slogans.
Very good then. I'll find out what I can.
Thank you, brother.
What do you want me to find out?
I'd be interested to hear about any iniquity in the monastery. I need to prepare myself for what I'll be facing.
Greetings, brother. I'm Gregor, and I'm new here.
Greetings to you, brother. I'm Yodok, the oldest of the novices. I hope you'll like it here in the monastery and that you won't get into trouble.
Trouble?
You're young, perhaps intemperate. You might easily stray from the rules of the order. I suggest you get to know the older monks. You never know when it might come in handy.
I'm interested in the other novices. I'm interested in Lucas.
Nobody knows much about Lucas. He keeps himself to himself. If you ask me, he's got something to hide. I'd keep well clear of him if I was you.
Do you have any grounds for suspecting him of something?
Quite a lot. And also none at all. The circators who make the rounds despise him, and they'd never punish anyone without cause.
Do you know anything about Antonius?
Only that he came to the monastery voluntarily, because he didn't want to work in his father's shop. Antonius is all right. You can rely on him. He won't betray your confidence. He's always happy to help, which is more than can be said for the other brothers.
Can you tell me something about yourself?
I would if there was anything noteworthy to say. But I'm just the ordinary son of a landowner, now a monk. There's nothing in my past, present, or future that anyone could find interesting.
Why did you join the monastery?
Because it was better than living in poverty. As the youngest son, I'm not entitled to inherit my father's estate, but he was kind enough to sell off some cattle and send me here. And you know what? I'm glad to be here. It's better than mucking out manure.
Who would you vote for as the new abbot if you could?
Why do you care? We don't have the right to vote, so we shouldn't get mixed up in it.
I'm just interested, that's all.
I like John better. But like I've said, it's not our place to get involved. It's enough that Antonius is mixed up in it. Don't you start too.
I'm Gregor and I'm new here.
I know. I saw you in the church during the ceremony. I have a feeling we'll be meeting again soon, and often. You see, I'm a circator.
What does that mean?
I make sure everyone observes the rule, does their work, and that everything is the way it should be.
When it's not the way it should be?
Then we're authorized to mete out punishment. But certainly you won't require correction, will you, brother?
About you in the election, will you tell me more about it?
Ask me anything you want.
Tell me something about Nevlas.
Nevlas is weak and toothless. He's full of hot hair. How anyone could think he'd make a good abbot is beyond me. Enough. I don't even want to hear his name again.
I'd like to know what's going on here.
Well, the young brothers feel they don't have the same rights and responsibilities as we, who have spent much of our lives here. And what of it? Privilege needs to be earned. Nevlas is lying when he says he wants to right wrongs. All he cares about are benefits for himself and his cronies. Lying when he says he wants to right wrongs. All he cares about are benefits for himself and his cronies.
I'm not really interested in all that.
Then why are you wasting my time?
Thank you for answering.
What would you like?
I'd be interested to hear what you think about the other novices. What about Yodok?
Be on good terms with him. If you show even the slightest hint you don't like him, he'll make your life hell. He's a slimy little pedant who'll rat you out to the superiors. Once he finishes his novitiate, I imagine he'll want to climb his way up the ladder to at least Sir Cater. He's a man who enjoys ordering others around.
I'm interested in Lucas.
No one knows much about him. He doesn't talk to anyone. He works, eats, sleeps, then does it all again the next day. It's as if he wanted to get it all over with as soon as possible. By it, I mean his entire life.
That's all. Thanks.
What would you like?
I'd like to ask you something about the monastery. Who would you like to be the new abbot?
The old abbot isn't dead yet. It's too early to talk about elections. But if I had to choose between the two who are already putting themselves forward, John would be my choice.
Things will get worse.
My name's Gregor, a novice.
You can call me Siskin. Now, are you here of your own free will, or is this a punishment? Although it's not important. Welcome to Purgatory.
Did you say purgatory?
You'll see soon enough. Soon enough.
Will you tell me something about yourself?
Look, nothing against you, but I prefer not to talk about my past.
Are you hiding something? Why are you so reluctant to tell me anything about yourself?
I'm hiding a lousy past that I'd rather forget. I hate to think of all I lost when they stuck me in here. And also because I really hate the question, aren't you the son of the famed Sir Smil Flashka of Pardubitz? I was rich and I had everything. But then my father began to feel his time approaching, so he decided to send a son to the monastery. And, being the youngest, the lot fell on me. I've no head for managing the estate, and they said I'd squander it. Can you imagine? Me in a monastery. So I took what coin I could from home with me, so I didn't lose out completely.
But you didn't have to come here if you didn't want to.
No, not if I didn't mind being left to beg alms by the city gate. I had one choice, the monastery or nothing. If it had come to that after my father's death, so be it. But to get rid of me while he's still alive...
They must have realized you robbed them.
I donated some of the silver to the monastery when I came in, just to piss them off. I can just see my brothers, my siblings, arguing with the abbot to give it back.
And you stashed away the remainder?
Indeed so.
What's your plan with this treasure?
To get out of here as soon as I can. I'll wait another year or two until my hot-headed brothers cool off a bit, and then I'll take the silver and run off somewhere, far, far away from here.
That's all I wanted to know.
Please, keep it to yourself, especially the part about the coin.
I'm still curious about this treasure trove of yours.
It's no big, terrible secret. Really, it isn't. I just go and read during services. There's no time otherwise. At other times, I don't get to read what I like. And I keep it under the slab so the others don't find it.
I'll leave you be. Don't worry, I won't follow you again.
Thank you. And please, Gregor, don't mention it to anyone.
Who would you elect, Abbot, if you could?
Most likely Nevlas. He's a fine fellow and he seems honest. But, truth be told, it doesn't matter much to me. A monastery will still be a monastery, no matter who's in charge. If you really want to talk more about it, ask Antonius. He seems to have taken an interest.
I'd be interested to hear what you think about the other novices. Tell me about Antonius.
Oh, if there was a monk I'd recommend as a friend, with, of course, the exception of myself, it would be Antonius. He has a calm soul, he's easy to talk to, and you can always rely on him.
I'm interested in Yodok.
What could interest you about him? He's a no-good rat. He'll turn you in for the price of a turnip. I'd bet my life that if he wasn't here, he'd be a cumin scout, bowing and scraping for a few groschen.
That doesn't sound too flattering.
It wasn't meant to. No matter what you do here, watch out for him. He's got his eye on everyone, and he'll rat on you for even the slightest of infractions.
What can you tell me about Lucas?
It's a tricky situation with Lucas. No one really knows anything about him. I've tried so many times to talk to him, but he always backs away like a virgin on a wedding night.
That's all. Thanks. How is it that you don't get any penance for missing morning prayers?
I've paid off the circators to turn a blind eye. And the other monks don't notice as long as you show your face there from time to time. No one's too awake at that time of the morning.
Praise be to Christ, brother.
Is there anything I can do to help here?
I'm glad you asked. There's one thing, a silly thing really. I haven't thought to mention it to anyone before. But not long ago, a brother brought me a crumpled piece of parchment. He says he found it rolled up in a hole in the wall. The thing is, it was a page from Ovid.
Ovid? What is that? Is it the name of a book?
Not what, but who? Ovid was a great Roman poet. We have a few volumes by him in the library, but one of them vanished one day. Now I believe I can guess what happened. Brother Eustace, may the earth rest lightly on him, was quite narrow-minded when it came to classical literature. If a book had any mention of woman at all, he condemned it as a heretical work. If he'd had his way, all such books would have been burned. Ovid's The Art of Love must have been such a thorn in his side that he stole it from the library, tore it up, and hid the pages wherever he could.
Oh, would you like me to put the book back together again?
Absolutely. Eustace's wits weren't the sharpest, so I'm sure he didn't destroy any of the pages. I imagine he hid them throughout the monastery. It might take you a while to find them all, but when you do, you can rest assured Ovid will return to his rightful place in the library.
Good. I'll look around for it.
Thank you, brother. It's of no great importance, but if you can find all 10 pages, I'll be most grateful.
Where should I look?
If I knew, I wouldn't have asked you to do it. The pages of the book could be hidden anywhere, from the garden to the refectory.
Can you tell me something about the book?
The Art of Love is a sort of manual instructing young people how to find and maintain love. It's a lovely work. I don't understand what bothered Eustace so much about it, but as I was saying, he considered the book to be immoral and tore it up to stop it corrupting any of his brothers.
Is it possible to learn something about the other novices in the library?
Only the abbot and the prior keep such records.
And can I see them?
No. The abbot writes and keeps his records in his chambers, and only he and the prior are permitted to read them.
I've heard about Avicenna's Book of Medicine. Could I see it?
Who told you about that? Of course you can't.
I've heard there are some forbidden books locked up in the library.
That's correct. They're here, safely hidden away from anyone who might be tempted to read them.
What if I just wanted to take a peek? Could I?
You could not. They are libri prohibiti, and the only people permitted access to them are the abbot and I. Although I see no reason why he or I would ever want to read them.
Not even if I were to beg? Or promise a favor in return?
If you could prove to me that you truly like books, then maybe.
Could a book be prohibited by mistake? Maybe a good book or a useful one?
No errors are made. Every book on the prohibited list is there for a reason. Who am I to doubt the wisdom of Mother Church?
How does a book get on the forbidden list?
Forbidden works are full of heresy and blasphemy and witchcraft. If you ask me, we should burn them immediately, not archive them.
I don't need to hear anything else.
You've seen us drinking here, so either join in or swear you won't tell a soul. You won't want to end up like Lucas now, would you?
All right. I wouldn't mind some wine.
That's more like it. Sit down and have a drink, my lad.
I could do with a bite to eat.
Talk to me, brother.
What are you doing here?
What does it look like? Drinking.
But we're all monks.
Youngster, when you're as old as I, you'll understand.
But you're the cicators. You're the ones meant to be keeping order here. How can gambling and drinking be a fitting part of a monk's life?
If you really want to know, see for yourself.
All right, have it your way.
What's there left to drink to?
To our fresh young novices, our swift steeds, and our boundless cellars.
You and your novices, you old pervert. A toast to our future abbot. What would you like?
You mentioned Yodok. What does he do for you?
Well, nothing much. He's just a little suckling like you. He'll do whatever it takes to stay on our good side. Sometimes we make use of him when there are errands to run.
Where'd you get the wine from? I thought the monastery cellars were guarded.
So they are. But this wine isn't from the monastery. Listen, lad, would you help us out with something? This cask is almost empty and we need a new one. We're a bit old for such exertions, but you, on the other hand...
I'll help you. What do I need to do?
Ha! I knew it. Help Novice Yorick arrange for a new cask. Talk to him first thing in the morning, and by tomorrow night, the cask can be on the table.
All right, I'll talk to him. Let's drink.
That's the idea. And what should we drink to?
How about to the abbot?
To the abbot it is. But wait a minute, lad. Which one?
To Peter.
So, to Peter. He's done so much for us, but his time is at hand. To his immortal soul.
Let's drink.
That's the idea. And what should we drink to?
How about to the abbot?
To the abbot it is. But wait a minute, lad. Which one?
To Abbot John.
That's more like it.
Let's play.
Just the man we've been waiting for, my friend. So, let's play.
Salve Domine. Ah, down the hatch.
Every goblet.
What would you like? What is it, brother?
I'll be going, brothers. It's been good to sit with you a while.
Do us a favor, brother. Stay a little longer and have another drink with us. Here, some wine for you.
Oh, all right. But that's the last cup.
What's there left to drink to?
To our fresh young novices, our swift steeds, and our
Ah, Gregor, talk to me. Ah, Gregor, talk to me.
In the middle of the night, I saw the Brother Circators drinking and playing dice.
How marvelous! Did you join in? And more importantly, can I join in next time?
Siskin? I thought it wasn't allowed.
If the Circators can, we all can.
That's not how it works, though, is it?
I know. A double standard. The Elder Brothers can do as they please, but they're the ones preaching about morality to us,